It is an absolutely beautiful day to play in the dirt. Let me show you some garden chores that I do when I don't have anything to harvest, but winter is coming and fall is coming and I do need to prep my garden in a few ways. These are kind of the mundane garden tasks that I have to do that, aren't really fun, but they are necessary if you want a successful garden. So my husband actually just mowed, and I took a huge container of grass clippings and I'm gonna mix them back in here. This is my compost. This is my largest garden bed that I have. It is custom built by my husband. It is a triangular shape and I don't really know how many feet tall it is, but it is pretty. I'll just show you here. It's a large garden bed. It's right up to the top part of the patio. Or the patio lining. So it's a lot of dirt, and every season when I switch from summer to fall, I take and fertilize this soil as much as I can. As long as this was disease free and all of the plants that I pulled out of here were healthy, what I'll do is a combination of chop and drop compost, like, eggshells, food scraps, and to add nitrogen back into the soil, I add these grass clippings, and I make sure that there's no like bugs or anything crazy in there. It's just grass clippings. I add that to the soil and I stir it around. I do add a layer of water, so I water that in just to get everything going. And this is another thing that I do to make sure my garden is nice and healthy. This was my bell pepper plant. This was cut off at the stem. I did not pull it physically out of the soil. I don't want to disturb any of the microbes or any of the earthworms or anything that are in the soil, so I just let this break back down into the soil. I did the same thing with my basil here. It's kind of hard to see, but these were the stumps of my basil plants, so I just chopped them down and I'm leaving the roots to break back down into the soil. As I'm adding items to my compost and items to my soil, I usually throw a little bit of this in here as well. This was actually gifted to me from my mom. She bought it at Aldi a couple of years ago, and I think it was only $7, but this does help start your compost. It really, really does help break down the garden waste. I do have some wigglers in the soil as well. I'll show you my actual, where I get my earthworm castings from really quickly. Hold on. So I have a separate bucket. This is from Dollar Tree. I keep this underneath my soil table, and I add a lot of, like right now you'll see mushrooms in here. There's all kinds of just as much compost as I can get, and there are some red wigglers in here. They're towards the actual bottom. This is a pretty deep tub, and there's also drainage holes underneath the bottom here as well. But these are where my wigglers are, and they just break everything down. Honestly, in about a week, all of this will be gone and it'll just be amazing, beautiful. I call it black gold. It's earthworm castings. So it's basically earthworm poop, and that will fertilize. This, I wait until it's nice and broken down, and then I toss that again in the mother compost pile there. And lastly, I know these don't look very clean, but they are sanitized. Here is one thing that I learned throughout the years: sanitize your shears. Sanitize whatever it is that you are using to cut anything in your garden, because diseases from plants can spread very quickly. If you have powdery mildew, mold, anything like that, and you use the same shears to cut an unhealthy plant and a healthy plant, you are risking spreading disease. So I just take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and I wipe my shears down. Again, I know they don't look very clean, but they're sanitized. And I wipe those down and I just let them dry open like this so that they don't rust. Trust me, these girls get a workout. That's why they look so used. But yeah, definitely sanitize these. That will help you so much in the long run.